Yesterday, I had one of those awful experiences that so many people go through several times in their life. I had to put my cat down. Her name was Shasta. We adopted her as a one-eyed adult cat. We loved her. She loved us. But in this last week, we noticed she was slowly eating less and less until one day she didn't eat at all. And she wasn't running around the house. She was walking. And she's usually kind of a hellraiser, so this was weird. And to make a long story short, after a grueling day of x-rays and test results, the best choice was to let her go now with a good goodbye. And thankfully, we have family that watched our two kids so that we could give her the proper goodbye that she deserved. So I come home with my wife, and I don't have to do anything except grieve. And in this moment of grief, I turn to the story that means the most to me in the entire world, personally. And I'd love to share this memorial with you that happens in my favorite story because it felt so familiar, so real with my real, raw, fresh experience. I'm sorry if this is a spoiler for you, by the way. One Piece is a fantastic story, and you really should read it, but, this is kind of small potatoes for sure. In the story, the Straw Hat Pirates, the main characters of the story, have to say goodbye to a member of their crew, a ship. It's been with them so far the entire story. This ship was literally past its limits. It was falling apart, but it wanted to sail one last time. It begged a shipwright to fix it, and somehow it sails itself. The ship in the story has a soul. It has a desire. It has a dream. It wants to live. For all intents and purposes in this story, it is real. It is alive, which is impossible, but true nonetheless here. It ends up saving the crew in a truly Deus Ex Machina fashion, which doesn't need any elaboration for this video. But now it is truly the end. The crew is ready to say goodbye. And by this point, I am already literally crying so fucking hard. I cried so much already just a few hours ago in such a painful way, and here I was crying again while looking at a Japanese comic about fictional pirates trying to achieve their dreams. This story right here, the story of this ship, just spoke to me so profoundly that I actually kind of felt better. I was laughing and smiling through my tears, so let me read this to you. And I'm going to put up the panels so you don't have to see me crying if that ends up happening. In this reading, I am Luffy, the captain of the ship, the leader of the crew. My cat Shasta is the Going Merry, the ship that has gone on its last voyage, and unfortunately, it's just time to say goodbye. Luffy says, "You carried us for a long time. Thank you, Merry-Go." And I literally said thank you so many times to our cat Shasta during our goodbye. And the Merry-Go responds, "I'm sorry." And I just lose it. A few hours ago, I knew while she sat with us there that she wished she could stay there longer. She would have said, "I'm sorry." And Luffy responds, "We're the ones that should say we're sorry, Mary." Because when we got the news of Shasta's condition, I was so sorry that I wasn't a better caretaker. I was sorry that, I could have been better to her because I loved her and I wanted her to know that. Mary-Go responds to this in the same way that I truly know Shasta would respond to it if she could. Even so, I was happy. And this broke me into tiny pieces because we cared so much for that cat. And she didn't always have that because when we adopted her, she was already 3 years old. She had one eye and she'd been up for adoption for 6 months already. And she'd been returned twice. She wasn't cared for until we found each other. And in this moment when I'm reading this, I'm truly healed a bit. I knew with all certainty that my cat Shasta was truly happy. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Shasta. Goodbye.